This season, we're celebrating 50 years of NFL football on CBS, and this is a memorable one. Green Bay here in Minnesota. Herschel Walker, 47 yards here in his first carry in his first game for the Vikings, 148 yards on the day. One of the great memories here on CBS as we welcome you back to Minneapolis. There's our halftime score. Minnesota leading Baltimore by a score of 14-3. Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf. We said it from the very beginning of the day. John Harbaugh says we're not going to win this game if we don't run the football. And I think he's well aware at halftime they haven't done that.
Well, to this point, that's why they didn't win the first half. That's for sure, because they only have 13 total yards on the ground with 10 carries. You see the three guys that have carried the ball, and that is rushing futility at its best. And also, what goes hand in hand with not being able to run the football, they suffered from horrible field position. They were in their own end the entire time. And let's be realistic. If they can run the ball a little bit here in the second half, enjoy some better field position, they feel good about that field goal at the end. They're still very much in this game.
Sure, there are two rays of light for the Baltimore Ravens in this game. Number one, after those two quick touchdowns by Brett Favre and the Viking, they brought the Viking offense to a halt, shut them out the rest of the way. And secondly, they had that field goal going off the field for momentum.
Yep, they did pressure Brett Favre. They took away Peterson and his ability to break out. So I think this is a Baltimore team right now that I think feels good about themselves, considering that they're down by 11 points.
Well, Baltimore is going to get the football to start the second half, and we remind you this game brought to you in high definition here on CBS. And the other thing about this game, Dan, you mentioned it in the first half, it is not nearly as loud as we expected, and more importantly, not nearly as loud as the Baltimore Ravens expected.
No, I agree on both fronts, and I'm a little surprised. Now, maybe at the start of the second half here, maybe the crowd will realize that they could help out. But they've been, and again, I go back, I think it was just the quick 14-0 lead. They're going, well, this is a yawner. This is well in hand.
How about Joe Flacco saying he was tired of all the noise in practice all week?
He used the word annoying. That's a big word with his generation.
Lardarius Webb from the 2. Gets up ahead of speed, 30. Spinning, 35, and out to about the 38 or the 39-yard line. A fine return by Lardarius Webb, and we have a penalty marker back at about the 20. Two of them, in fact. This game has not been without its yellow handkerchiefs.
Well, and again, though, there's a chance for the Ravens to start with really good field position. The best they've seen in quite some time, and now that's gone up in smoke.
During the return, holding on the receiving team, number 29, half the distance to the goal from the spot of the foul. First down.
You're right, there goes that field position. And, you know, there's another thing about this game, Dan. We thought maybe it would be a little chippier than it's been so far, although there's still time.
Yeah, it has not been bad. Two huge physical teams, and Joe Flacco, if you look at his first half, look at that completion percentage, 14 of 19, and under a lot of pressure at times. So Joe has hung in there, and he is, let me tell you something, there is nothing to not like about Joe Flacco and his quarterbacking future in this league.
From their own 10-yard line, Willis McGahee getting the start in the backfield and can't get away from one Jared Allen.
Well, he's got the outside shoulder and the upfield contained to his side of the field. That's called gap control. That's Jared Allen's gap. And he honored it. He stayed there. Look at him fight. See, he's working against Todd Heap, who's doing his darndest to hold him and everything else. And Jared Allen stayed with it. But his job was to get on that outside shoulder and not surrender it.
Loss of 3, 2nd and 13. McGahee again. Slipped as he got started. Got nowhere.
Well, all of a sudden now, after a couple futile attempts to run, now the crowd's starting to get a little excited, and it's in Joe Flacco's hands right now. He converted an awfully big third down, backed up to his goal line right at the end of the first half on that field goal drive. But John Harbaugh knows you can't make a diet of this. You can't make a steady diet of this. This is disaster waiting to happen.
Ray Rice back across the original line of scrimmage to about the 12, and that man Allen, Jared Allen with the stop, and it'll be the punting unit coming onto the field for Baltimore.
And there was his acknowledgement of how much of a disaster that was waiting to happen. 3 straight runs to nowhere.
And put it in the hand of your kicker, Sam Cook. Jamar Johnson back at his own 40-yard line. Cook. Inside 40. And tried to shake away. But he's brought down eventually by Haruki Nakamura. Brett Favre back onto the field with the Minnesota offense when we come back in just a moment.
We flame broil it and grab it fresh off the grill because you wanted it that way. We make it big because you wanted it that way. Maybe you're noticing a theme here. Whopper Jr., only $1. Big flame fresh taste, only at Burger King.
Ready for a refreshing new take on Bud Light? Introducing Bud Light Golden Wheat. All the drinkability of Bud Light brewed with golden wheat for a refreshing new taste. Bud Light Golden Wheat. Light beer, huge flavor.
Here you go.
Whoa, that's some serious insurance.
Ding, 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 ding. Fun fact, Progressive is the #1 truck insurer.
Yeah, great service at the right price. And nowadays, my business depends on it.
Do you have anything like that for my car?
Yes, our car insurance comes with 24/7 claim service, and you could save hundreds.
So what you hauling?
Oh, 8-year-olds to soccer practice.
9.
Precious cargo.
Protecting what matters most to you. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
I think it's obvious not everyone reads GQ, Dan.
Well, you know, we have a wide spectrum of fashion here, from Ragnar that's a little barbarous to these guys which define dapper.
That's a little barbarous in itself.
I think it's a pretty good look.
Favre on first down gives to Adrian Peterson, and Peterson bulls his way forward to about the 45. Ray Lewis and Tavares Gooden combining to stop the third-year running back out of Peterson.
Well, Brett Favre in the first half, he had a good completion percentage as well. He got dropped a couple times, but the 2 touchdowns on the first 2 drives, that's where they sit right now on their 14 points. That's a good first down play they just had, though. Hard between the tackle run by Adrian Peterson for a solid 5.
121 yards and 2 TDs on those first 2 drives. And look at the hole for Peterson here. Peterson inside the 45 to about the 44-yard line.
You know darn well that Brad Childress at halftime said, we are going to try to get back to what we are. And what we are is a running football team. Right behind Hutchinson, behind McKinney. They just collapsed the left side of the offensive line, and that was a nice crease. Let me tell you something. For an offensive football team to get a first down on 2 running plays back-to-back, it is really a good feeling.
Peterson up to 66 yards on 11 carries, looking for more here. Pure strength gets him to 42. Ed Reed and Gooden with the stop. Vikings do pretty well once the second half gets underway, don't they?
Well, those are a credit to the kind of adjustments that a coaching staff can make at halftime. And Brad Childress, no one has ever disagreed with the fact that all those years under Andy Reid and his background, he is an offensive mastermind.
Go!
On 2nd and 7, Favre to throw. Rolling, throws, complete to the near side. This is Berrian. And Berrian brought down short of the 35. How about when Brad Childress was talking about his big rookie tackle, Phil Lodeholt, at 6'8", 343. And Brad says, he could eat soup off my head.
And he was describing what it's like to go up and talk to him to try and make a point. And he said, I get right up to him. And of course, my eyeballs are about his belly button. And you're right, he's so tall, he could eat soup off my head. And actually, Lodeholt's not the biggest guy on the line. That's Brian McKinney on the other side. It's beyond belief how big these guys are getting.
Go!
3rd and 2. Peterson. And twisting, and appears to have enough for the first down inside the 35.
Well, that's the classic story where defensive guys always talk about one guy's not going to bring him down. And that is just second and third effort, and there weren't enough Ravens coming in to clean up and help out to stop Peterson from twisting for the first down. You know, that was not a glamorous run, but it moved the sticks.
Oh! It's coming this way.
Chester Taylor replaces Peterson in the backfield. And gets the handoff and try the right side. Has running room inside the 30, inside the 25. Still on his feet, gets a first down to the 21. Now there's a patient run in using your blocks.
Well, I was not in the Minnesota locker room, but they apparently have had an attitude adjustment. Would you not agree?
I think so.
With what we saw out of their defense and now what they're doing offensively, nothing fancy, just physical, hard-nosed football against a physical, hard-nosed football team in the Ravens.
5 running plays and a pass on this drive thus far. Taylor. And nowhere to go. Here comes Adrian Peterson again. Remember we were talking with Haloti Ngata, and Ngata said he played ball against him twice in college.
Yeah, Ngata went to the University of Oregon, and they played him once in the regular season, and then they played in a bowl game, and he said it was ugly.
He ran all over us.
He said he'd get into the second level, and we had nobody that could tackle him or catch him.
On 2nd and 10, Favre going to throw it. Peterson out of the backfield and upended at the 22. Oh, Tahi, excuse me, out of the backfield. 38, not 28.
Again, Brett Favre running this West Coast offense. Very patient. The downfield option was covered. He doesn't hesitate to dump it off, but that was really covered well by Dominique Foxworth. Brett Favre has not been a long-range bomber through the first 5 games, and actually the half of the 6th game here. He has been a check-down intermediate passer.
3rd and 10. Pump fake. And now throws and underthrows Adrian Peterson. It'll be 4th down, and onto the field comes the field goal unit led by Ryan Longwell.
Well, I'm not sure Brett had a lot of leeway there because Tavares Gooden really had good coverage in that situation, forcing that throw low and away.
What did Ray Lewis call his fellow linebacker yesterday? Freak of nature?
Yeah, he really did. He said athletically. Because Bart Scott he's a big guy to try to replace in terms of production.
40-yard field goal attempt for Longwell. On its way. Oh, just inside. Just inside the left upright. 3 points on the board for the Vikings, but not by much, but enough to count. 17-3, Minnesota.
There's having it done, then there's doing it yourself and saving. It's about sawdust in your boots, paint in your hair, and no holes in your wallet. We've lowered prices throughout the store, giving you all the tools you need and the bragging rights you deserve. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Save $20 with a new lower price on the Kohler Forte kitchen faucet.
Thinking about mutual funds? Think about this. The best place to buy one may not be a mutual fund company at all. Instead of emphasizing their funds, TD Ameritrade has tools that can help you choose funds from the leading fund companies. There's even a recommended list by the independent experts at Morningstar Associates, so you can get a fund that matches your objectives instead of someone else's.
Before investing, consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Contact TD Ameritrade for a prospectus containing this and other information. Read it carefully before investing.
It's the first word in the morning. It's the final word at night. Watch NFL Network. You want the NFL? Go to the NFL.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com, grab your bag, it's on. Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot.
It's doubleheader Sunday here on CBS. Coming up next, the Tennessee Titans looking for a win at New England, trying to slow down Tom Brady and the Patriots, or Buffalo's Bills and the New York Jets. We ask you to check your local listing.
There are a ton of storylines in that Tennessee-New England game. Who could possibly imagine Tennessee at 0-5? And what a place to try to win your first game. I'm trying to be serious. Look at that.
Lardarius Webb at the goal line. Another good run back by the rookie, and this one out close to the 30-yard line, and this time no penalty markers. Madieu Williams with the stop. John Harbaugh looking for some offense. Down 2 touchdowns.
The Monopoly game is back, and it's on. Look, I've got a railroad.
Yeah, but you gotta collect the others.
Or I can win instantly.
Is that right?
Yeah, babe. I can even play on my cell. There's even an online chance to win $1 million every day.
Every day.
Yep.
The Monopoly game is back and better than ever. You can win instantly.
Xbox 360?
Or play online for a daily chance at $1 million.
Is that good?
No. I'll take it.
Uh-huh. Don't touch, just look.
Oh, thank goodness you're back.
What's going on, sir?
We're slammed. Tons of people interested in all the money they could be saving by switching to Geico.
Yeah, of course.
Boy, did we miss you last week. That temp wasn't working out at all.
Took me all morning, but I got those quarterly figures for you.
Oh, he ate all my mints.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
It's not over.
We got a whole lot of fight coming our way!
Get the #1 movie of the year and get more than you saw in theaters. Transformers, a Michael Bay film. Own it on Tudas DVD and Blu-ray Tuesday, October 20th.
Will this hospital romance
You think Scott's bad for me?
I don't want to watch you fall off the wagon. End in tragedy? Scott's AWOL.
Somebody should get that hard.
A new 3 Rivers, tonight, only CBS.
Russell is exhausted. It was the scariest moment I've ever had on this show.
Russell, can you hear me?
You can bet this is not what John Harbaugh had in mind when he said we want to rush the football today. It just hasn't happened. On first down, Flacco to throw. Far side of the field and overthrew Kelly Washington. It'll be 2nd and 10.
And of course, he gets planted after their last series where they ran the ball 3 straight times. This time on first down, they go back, and busting through is Kevin Williams. And Joe Flacco just gets pummeled and not able to deliver an accurate pass.
4-time Pro Bowler Kevin Williams, 2nd and 10.
And now we move into Jared Allen territory.
Rice. Tripped up at the line of scrimmage of just across the 30 to the 31.
Boy, I think Ben Lieber, did he get a hand in there to make that tackle? Because I thought Rice was going to bust loose for a lot of yards. That was really close to being a a bigger run. That's Cam Cameron, the offensive coordinator of Baltimore, formerly head coach at Miami, and he and Joe Flacco have really developed a pretty special relationship.
Here's a big 3rd and 7 for Flacco and the Ravens. That pass is complete for a first down on the far side to Derek Mason.
Well, Derek Mason has long been one of the most precise route runners in the National Football League. And being a good route runner is not to have soft corners on your route. That is a good job of selling a downfield pattern and then stopping in a hurry. And Joe Flacco puts it on the back shoulder for Derek Mason.
Flacco getting rid of it before the inevitable pass rush comes from Jared Allen. First down. Flacco throwing to this side, and that doesn't connect at all with Mason. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Yeah, total misinterpretation of the game plan by one of them. Joe Flacco expected him to break to the sideline, and an interested spectator. Wonder if he went hunting this morning on his way here. I suspect not. I think
sounded like he was headed out after we talked to him yesterday.
That was yesterday. I think the younger Brett Favre is getting a lot more rest. The older one, not more than the younger one did.
On 2nd and 10, here's Rice. And Rice across the 45 to the 46. As we work our way towards 5:50 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Welcome to those of you joining us here in Minneapolis. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf. Baltimore trailing Minnesota 17-3 with about 5.5 to play here in the 3rd. And Flacco and the Ravens looking at a 3rd and 5 at their own 45-yard line. Here come the Vikings. Flacco gets rid of it and finds his man on the far side of the field. Complete to Derek Mason, and that's a first down.
Boy, what a job by Joe Flacco of getting rid of the football in a hurry, because he is going to be pressured. Jared Allen right in his face. That's an absolutely perfect throw to a well-run route by Derek Mason. Cedric Griffin, just that last little stagger allowed the separation. But look at Flacco with Allen right in his face. He knows what's coming.
Never saw it completed. 5 catches, 75 yards for Mason. Flacco over the middle, got his man inside the 25-yard line. Todd Heap.
And Chad Greenway, the linebacker, he's going, man, I don't think I can run all the way down the field with Todd Heap. See Greenway, he leaps for the ball. He's got the underneath coverage and couldn't make it.
Here's Rice trying the left side, and Rice breaks through. 10-5, touchdown.
Trust me!
Well, Ray Rice finishes off a drive where we saw a couple spectacular plays by Joe Flacco throwing the ball. Michael Orr, Jared Allen. Allen tied up by Orr. That was just a good job. Derek Mason does a nice job downfield. Ben Grubbs at the line of scrimmage. That's the biggest hole a Baltimore running back has seen today.
Extra point by Hauschka is good, and with 4:13 to play in the 3rd quarter, the first touchdown of the day for Baltimore, courtesy of Ray Rice. And it's 17-10 Minnesota.
I'm in.
We're in too. I'm a part of it.
Colonel, I'm in. More than 60 million Americans have tried Kentucky Grilled Chicken. An entire grilled nation of believers in that fall-off-the-bone taste. And now you can be part of it too. Try a 2-piece meal with 2 sides of a biscuit for just $3.99. And taste for yourself why 60 million people unthink alike.
Make it 60 million in one.
Unthink and taste the unfried side of KFC.
So what is this thing again?
It's Fidelity's guidance. It shows you ways to spend in retirement that can help your money last, whatever your plans.
Like if we wanted to travel?
Or start a business.
Yep.
Or take some classes?
Sure.
Or find the best cheeseburger?
The line isn't for everything.
Whatever your destination, Fidelity has the people, guidance, and investments to help you find your way. Fidelity Investments. Turn here.
To the top, here comes Kurt Busch!
What does greatness taste like?
He'll race alongside!
Step up and order a Miller Lite.
We've got a tussle! We've got a fight! We've got a war!
We've got a rich golden color, a real beer aroma, and a true Pilsner taste.
A drag race to the checkered flag will be won by Kurt Busch and the Miller Lite Dodge!
There's light beer, and then there's triple hops brewed Miller Lite. Taste greatness.
Oh, what a finish!
Catch TV's #1 show, NCIS, Tuesday, only CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by KFC. Join Grilled Nation. Try a 2-piece meal of Kentucky Grilled Chicken for just $3.99. And by Fidelity Investments. Turn here.
Welcome back to Minneapolis. 4 minutes, 13 seconds to play in the third quarter, and Baltimore jumps right back into this thing with a 72-yard drive in just 3 minutes and 3 seconds. And Ray Rice and the ground game has come alive here in the second half.
And if you think there are a lot of uneasy people sitting in the seats here at the Metrodome, now the Mall of America Field, you would be 100% right.
Here's Percy Harvin at the 9. 25, and out to about the 29-yard line. 17-10 Minnesota. Baltimore's defense has stood up strong since allowing 2 early touchdowns. Can they put the stops on Brett Favre now? We'll be right back.
Want to become a vampire?
I'll do it.
To end the war between 2 worlds of vampires, Darren Shan will have to join the fight.
Prepare to die.
You're a vampire and you didn't tell your best friend?
You have to learn to fight.
Run! The vampire's assistant.
Can I turn into a bat?
No, that's bull.
Rated PG-13.
I was always going. Having to go in the middle of traffic and just starting and stopping. Having to go in the middle of a ball game and then not being able to go once I got there. And going at night. I thought I had a going problem. My doctor said I had a growing problem.
It wasn't my bladder. My prostate was growing. I had an enlarging prostate that was causing my urinary symptoms.
My doctor prescribed Avodart.
Over time, Avodart actually shrinks the prostate and improves urinary symptoms.
So I can go more easily when I need to go, and go less often.
Avodart is for men only. Women should not take or handle Avodart due to risk of a specific birth defect. Do not donate blood until 6 months after stopping Avodart. Tell your doctor if you have liver disease. Rarely sexual side effects, swelling, or tenderness of the breasts can occur. Only your healthcare provider can tell if symptoms are from an enlarged prostate and not a more serious condition like prostate cancer. So have regular exams. Call your doctor today. Avodart, help take care of your growing problem.
Yellow light, slow down.
Learning to drive.
Jake, look out, look out.
Leave your family at home.
If you don't quit it, I'm going to turn this car around and nobody's going to the movies.
2.5 Men.
I always wanted to say that.
Then, you like science fiction?
No.
It's a double-date disaster.
You like magic?
Not really.
Okay.
New Big Bang Theory after 2.5 Men. CBS Monday.
Ray Rice's 23-yard touchdown run. Baltimore's first touchdown of the afternoon has pulled the Ravens to within 7 with 4:08 to play here in the third quarter. Favre and company at their own 29-yard line. See Baltimore's resurgence since the first quarter. Favre going to throw. Pulls it down. Oh, look at that shot. Complete to Sidney Rice. Rice off to the races. 20, 10, out of bounds inside the 10. It'll be first and goal. $63 yards.
Has there been a quarterback of Brett Favre's generation who throws the slant pass more on the money for more big plays than Brett Favre. He just stuck that right onto the hands of Rice. And Brett Favre, like he always does after completion, takes off chasing his guy. He used to get there quicker. But he got there with the same emotion and exuberance.
No, it's not Adrian Peterson. It's Percy Harvin with the handoff from Favre in the backfield.
Brett has just whistled that pass in on slants. We've been watching it for the last 19 years. And boy, was this a football team in need of a big play. After Baltimore drove down to score their first touchdown of the game, this has been quite an answer by the guys in purple.
And the Vikings in business at the Baltimore 7, 2nd and goal. Favre, quick pass, near side to the 5, and to the 4 is Harvin.
Big plays have been bothering Baltimore all season. They're the second in the league of giving up pass plays of 20 or more. Week 1 against Kansas City, Mark Bradley, that was for 50 yards. Then Darren Sproles, how's this? 81-yard touchdown when they played San Diego. And then last week, Chris Henry, a 73-yarder. And now this one we just saw to Sidney Rice. Big plays have just been killing the Ravens.
Rice, a career high 114 yards today receiving. 3rd and goal now. Favre going to throw it far side and overthrows the intended receiver, and that was Rice. Remember he said about Sidney Rice that he loves to have Rice go one-on-one.
Well, that was going to be nothing but a jump ball against the 5'11" Fabian Washington. That's all this is. That's just posting him up. But Brett, I don't know if it was Ed Reed coming in late that forced that, or if Brett just lost control of it, but that thing sailed away harmlessly.
Ryan Longwell from 22 yards out. And the Vikings salvage 3 on the drive with 2:05 to play in the 3rd. Theirs is a 10-point lead. The Vikings 20 and Baltimore 10.
That's still a disappointment after a big play like that, to get that close. Anytime you're forced to come away with a field goal, there's a bit of a bad taste in your mouth. That's not what you were looking for.
The 3 Viking quarterbacks.
But you saw Brett talking to Tavares Jackson there, the quarterback of the Vikings, before Brett got here, and it's been tough on Jackson to talk. Was Brett coming? Was he not coming? But, you know, let's be realistic. Brett Favre, when he's healthy, can provide options for this team that Tavares Jackson cannot. It's got nothing to do with Tavares Jackson. It's got everything to do with Brett Favre and what he's still capable of doing. Like Brett told us, I still feel, yes, maybe I can't do some of the things I used to be able to do, but I can still make all the throws. He said there is no throw that I want to make where I think to myself beforehand, I'm 40 and I can't do it.
John Harbaugh says he can still do it. He may have to load up a little bit on the long ones, but he does, and he does it well.
And he also said he doesn't want to get hit. And I'm thinking, well, that's a pretty long list of NFL quarterbacks that I think you could put in that category.
If you're going to list the guys who'd like to get hit, you may have to go all the way back to Joe Kapp.
Bobby Douglas.
Webb from his own 8. Running room. 40. Up the sideline and close to midfield. Carl Pema knocks him down. Hey, tomorrow on How I Met Your Mother, there is no stopping Barney when it comes to helping his girlfriend become an American. An all-new episode tomorrow on How I Met Your Mother here on CBS.
It looks like the Ravens are bound and determined to try to make a game out of this, and this time they do it with special teams.
Jared Allen calling for the fans to back them up. Flacco under pressure, shakes it, has time, throwing it deep. Down to the goal line, it is incomplete. Derek Mason battling a couple of defenders down there.
Well, for Joe Flacco, that's not the way they practiced it, having somebody in his face right away. But when he got a chance to plant, he launched it, but it just stayed in the air way too long. There's just no way to get it down there. But on the rebound, Mason almost able to make a play on it after Medeo Williams comes over and bats it away. Ooh, that was
close.
That was close.
2nd and 10.
Really close.
Flacco over the middle, and that is complete across midfield. Todd Heap made the catch. You think maybe we found a signature move by Ray Rice?
Yeah, he scored the Baltimore touchdown. Did a nice job of putting his hand on the ground. This was last week against Cincinnati. Watch this. There goes the hand on the ground to keep my balance. That time it was the left hand. Well, is he ambidextrous? Yes, he is. Today it's with the right hand to go down to the ground to keep his balance. Man, there's a lot to like about this second-year guy from Rutgers.
3rd and 5 for Flacco. He needs the 41 of the Vikings. They throw near side of the field, and that's a bullet complete. And now incomplete on the sideline.
You saw the ball secured, but then you saw it squirt out after Derek Mason was on the ground. This ought to give us a really good look at it here. Look at that throw from Joe Flacco. And he just never gets it put away. That Carl Pema is the defender, and he did an outstanding job of getting his hands wrapped around Mason and onto the football to knock it out. That was fantastic coverage.
And that'll be a disappointment on the Baltimore side of the field because that was an awfully good throw.
A great throw, a good job of trying to get it by Mason, but give Payman credit.
Jamar Johnson is deep. Going to let it bounce inside the 10, and it rolls into the end zone for the touchback. So with 50 seconds to play, the Vikings and Favre will start from their own 20-yard line. And Tuesday on NCIS Los Angeles, the team will face an assassin so ruthless, they'll call in reinforcements. Cast members from NCIS guest on TV's #1 news show, NCIS Los Angeles, Tuesday on CBS, America's Most Watched Network.
Chris O'Donnell, one of the really nice guys in that business.
Me too, except I'm not in that business.
Well, you just had the list of nice guys. Everybody knows it.
Favre and company from the 20. Peterson. And the clock running, 40 seconds to the end of the 3rd quarter.
Again, this has pretty much been the way things have gone for Adrian Peterson since he busted out for 100 in their opening game against Cleveland. He hasn't topped the century mark yet. He's up there 76 yards today, but it's been a grind. And we asked him about, are you frustrated? There have been a lot of articles written about it. He said, heck no, I will trade wins and touchdowns for yards anytime.
His reputation does precede him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
28 again, and this time brought down by number 55, Terrell Suggs, as time runs down. That's the end of 3. 20-10. Vikings back after this message and a word from your local station.
As the swine flu spreads, the country's intensive care units are filling up with young people. Why are they so vulnerable? And who else is at risk? The answers tonight on 60 Minutes.
Don't miss CSI New York, Wednesday, only CBS.
You are watching NFL Sunday Ticket.
Hell yeah! Slaying demons with hot rods. Hell yeah! Let me hear it for a sweet salvation. Hell yeah! Set free imagination. Let me hear it for a world of rock. Hell yeah! Let me hear it for this massive axe. Give it up for sexy nuns. Get it down with wicked tongues. Wicked druids, shakes on shakes. Brutal legend, get your fix. Welcome to hell yeah! Rated M for mature.
A new car is one of the most expensive purchases you can make. But Hyundai thinks when you're buying a car, what you need even more than money is information. So you think about it. And just before you decide, you get a second opinion. You know, just to be sure. And if that helps, imagine 1,000 second opinions, all telling you the same thing. Spend 5 minutes at HyundaiMomentum.com to see why more people are buying a Hyundai.
It's not over.
Get the #1 movie of the year and get more than you saw in theaters. Transformers, a Michael Bay film. Own it on Tudas DVD and Blu-ray Tuesday, October 20th.
Favre for the end zone. Touchdown.
Wow, it's Brett Favre working that intermediate area.
Rice off to the races. Along with our producer, Mark Wolf, our director, Bob Fishman, and the rest of our CBS Sports crew. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf, back in Minneapolis for the start of the fourth quarter. Fish changed his name while I was away.
At least he got my name on.
Peterson in the backfield on first down from the 24. Pump fake, Favre over the middle, and that is complete to Peterson out of the backfield for a first down.
And that's something I know the Vikings would love to do, get Brett and Adrian Peterson more of a combo in the passing game. Adrian had 10 receptions coming into today's game. That's his third one so far today, and that's the most he's had in a while. You just can't get the ball into number 28's hands often enough.
Number 28 told us yesterday they haven't played their best game offensively yet this year. And this is a high-scoring Minnesota team, averaging more than 31 points a game. Peterson, left side. To about the 38.
You see him give some props to one of his blockers out front, Bryant McKinney. Adrian Peterson, a really popular guy in the locker room, an infectious smile. It just you talk about a guy who brings it.
How about when we were talking to him, Dan, and you said, I don't know if you remember the last time we saw you, and he said 296?
Yeah. Greg and I were here with our whole CBS crew, and he set the NFL single game rushing record against the Chargers back in 07. 296 big ones. I think he could have had 330 or 340 if he'd kept playing.
Quick pass far side of the field to Bernard Berrian. Berrian with a first down. Out to the 46, maybe the 47-yard line.
Well, Bernard Berrian puts on a nice little move right there. Dominique Foxworth comes up and he has no chance. He just goes into a butt slide as he goes by. That's a new term. I'm not sure that that's been used in the football lexicon before.
Not sure it'll be used again.
Well, I thought it was pretty descriptive.
7 different receivers, 5 straight games. That's distributing the football. Chester Taylor in the backfield now, and Baltimore calls a timeout. That stops the clock with 13:05 left here in the fourth quarter. It is a 10-point Minnesota lead.
So, heading to the doctor? Yeah. You gonna ask him this time? About what? Our erectile dysfunction. Shh, no, I don't want to talk about it. Look, you're not alone. Millions of men with ED have talked to their doctors. I don't know. We can do this. Okay.
Talking to your doctor about ED may be the last thing you want to do, but it's definitely a conversation worth having. 20 million men have had their Viagra talk. When you're ready for yours, you'll find helpful tips on talking to your doctor at Viagra.com. Ask your doctor if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Don't take Viagra if you take nitrates for chest pain, as it may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Side effects may include headache, flushing, upset stomach, and abnormal vision. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. Stop taking Viagra and call your doctor right away if you experience a sudden decrease or loss in vision or hearing. Talk to your doctor today and ask if Viagra is right for you.
Every October, real people win real money playing Monopoly at McDonald's. Last year, Michelle won playing online. And this year, every day's another chance online to win a roll for $1 million. So what's your game?
Rated Teen.
Yellow light, slow down. Look out! If you don't quit it, I'm going to turn this car around and nobody's going to the movies. I've always wanted to say that.
Monday, only CBS. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 44.
Look what's happening next Saturday. Lane Kiffin and his Tennessee Volunteers travel to Tuscaloosa to meet the #1 ranked and unbeaten Alabama Crimson Tide. The day begins with TIAA Cref College football today. First down, Minnesota at their own 47. Favre rolling, throws, complete, across midfield and into Baltimore territory for the first down is Visanthe Shiancoe.
I think that's the kind of movement, Greg, that Brett was talking to us about. Just the little bootlegs, just the follow through after a play action, rolling out to the backside. Brett Favre always has been very comfortable delivering the ball on the run. And he told us, he said, I'm just as effective doing it now as I've ever been.
Well, credit Darrell Bevel and Brad Childress for being able to keep the heat off of Brett Favre.
Well, there's a lot of give and take going on right now. Brett's hearing it from the receivers, what they like. He's learning what they do well. Keep in mind, everybody, this is still a work in progress.
2nd and 3, Chester Taylor gets the handoff, tries the left side, cuts it back, and that's a first down. Ray Lewis makes the tackle, and we make the trip back to New York, and James Brown. JD.
Hey, Greg and Dan, it's a red-hot Matt Schaub. Second hookup of the day with Owen Daniels. This a 7-yard strike. 4 touchdown tosses, ties a career high for Schaub. Schaub 23 of 34, 347, and 4 touches. Wow. Back to Greg Gumbel and a descriptive Dan Deerdorf.
I knew I was going to hear it for that. It might be new. It might catch on, JB. You never know. You could say you were there. Whoa!
Favre gonna go deep. And the flags are thrown. Bernard Berrian, the intended receiver. Frank Walker was covering.
Well, the blitzer was across the line of scrimmage at the snap. That was Ed Reed. So there's the penalty at the line of scrimmage. And then this one appears to be an interference on Frank Walker. Pretty much of a disastrous pair of penalties that time for the Ravens. Now let's get the
there's an extended conversation about this one inside the 10.
We've seen flags picked up already.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both against the defense. Offside. Number 20 is declined. Pass interference. Number 41 from the spot of the foul. Automatic. First down.
What a move to get a release by Bernard Berrian. And then you can see there was the first one, and there's the second one. Walker could have been called twice. He actually shoved Berrian in the back, but then he got the arms encircling the head on top of the shoulder pads way before the ball gets there. That's a relatively easy call for the official.
That's a 39-yard pickup on the penalty.
And Brett Favre put a little air under that ball. He got that thing downfield and put it in a position where it could have been caught. Nice throw by the old man.
First and goal. Peterson in the backfield. Peterson left side.
Ray Lewis still can play. This is what you want out of your middle linebacker. Listen in. Perfect. Just perfect.
Adrian Peterson says he loves the way Ray Lewis plays the game. Not sure he was thrilled about it on the last play. 9th play of this drive, 2nd and goal. Peterson. That staunch Baltimore front.
Think there's a little pride starting to bubble to the surface here for the Ravens. Let's listen again. There's some hitting going on down there. big boy football right there. Now, as an offensive lineman, I can tell you, when you're in the huddle, you want another shot at it. You want to run again. The gloves have been dropped. You do not want to go to some fade pattern or something like that. You want a chance to try to run it in again.
Play clock winding down. Favre, play fake, rolling, throws, touchdown. Shiancoe.
Well, if the offensive lineman had a vote, they'd have gone for the run, but I think they'll settle for the touchdown. Visanthe Shiancoe is becoming a really favorite target of Brett Favre, but then again, most people that are that wide open are favorite targets. His second touchdown catch of the day, and a mistake by the Baltimore secondary, just letting him go.
And his 5th of the season. The extra point is good. A season high 3 touchdown passes for number 4, Brett Favre.
He doesn't care.
27-10, Minnesota.
We can still be really good friends. We'll just be together a lot less, like almost never.
Are you breaking up with me?
What? No. Break up. Silly.
Are you breaking up with me?
Not too heavy, not too light. Bud Light. The difference is drinkability.
I'll Facebook you.
Infinite. Number of facts to know about football. 1. Number of facts to know about shipping. FedEx Ground is faster to more locations than UPS Ground. We understand you want faster ground shipping.
I'm in.
I'm a part of it.
Grilled Nation is 60 million strong and counting. And now you can be part of it too. Try a 2-piece meal with 2 sides and a biscuit for just $3.99.
It's not always easy to decide which luxury brand is right for you. You want something that offers beautiful design, outstanding performance, and above all, safety. But of all these luxury brands, only one has earned a 5-star crash safety rating for every single vehicle it makes. Acura, the first and only manufacturer with a full line of 5-star crash safety rated vehicles.
Take advantage of attractive lease rates on the 2010 Acura TSX for well-qualified customers.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Acura. Acura, advance. Wells Fargo Advisors, together we'll go far. And by Bud Light, with the just right taste that's not too heavy, not too light. The difference is drinkability.
It would appear that if the Vikings are going to stumble and fall this year, it won't be because of lack of points on the board. In all 6 of their games this season, they've scored a minimum of 27 points.
Isn't it fun to watch somebody play this game whose emotions are so close to the surface?
Lardarius Webb from his own 2. Ahead of steam and out to about the 25 or the 26 where Madieu Williams makes the stop. Just as you said, Dan, there is something about a guy who appears to be having fun playing the game. That is number 4.
America, center of equal daughters, equal sons, grown, ungrown, young or old, strong, fair, enduring, perennial with the earth, with freedom, law, and love.
My boyfriend has one.
My girlfriend, my older sister.
She has 2 kids.
My college roommate who lives up north has one.
My mom.
My mom.
My neighbors.
Our neighbors.
My daughter.
My daughter.
We were in the same class in elementary school.
My boyfriend.
My parents.
Our parents.
My lovely wife.
My husband has one.
Yeah, as well as a fellow I work with.
My girlfriend, she moved out east.
I'm a city girl.
Everybody knows somebody who loves a Honda. Who do you know?
150 years of legendary financial strength and the proven experience of a leading investment firm have come together. Wachovia Securities is now Wells Fargo Advisors, with financial advisors nearby and nationwide. For the advice and planning expertise you need to address today's unique challenges, we're with you. Wachovia Securities is now Wells Fargo Advisors. Together we'll go far.
He's a man of mystery who trains in the frozen tundra of Siberia. Fedor Emelianenko is the #1 heavyweight mixed martial arts fighter in the world, and he's taking on undefeated knockout artist Brett Rogers. Live, free, only CBS, November 7th.
A happy Brett Favre on the sideline as Baltimore starts first down at its own 25-yard line. And now up to Joe Flacco and his offense to see if they can answer. Plenty of time left, 10 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Look out, Joe!
It is difficult enough when you block Jared Allen, but when you don't touch him, life's impossible. How do you just not block Jared Allen? How do you not put a hat on him? You have to assume that the left tackle, Michael Orr, made some sort of a mistake.
2nd and 19. Flacco going to throw this one down the middle, and he's got his man, Kelly Washington, for a first down. And we have a penalty marker back at about the 17-yard line.
Offside. Defense number 91 is declined. Result of the play is a first down.
And Kelly Washington down on the field.
Well, you can see right there again another mistake made, this time by the secondary of the Vikings, and what a collision between Madieu Williams and Kelly Washington.
And Kelly Washington still flat on his back at the 45-yard line. And we'll take a break as they help him up. We'll be back.
Precision is power. The Acura TL, the most powerful Acura ever built.
Take advantage of attractive lease rates on the 2010 Acura TL for well-qualified customers.
This is John Park's restricted calling circle. He's saying toodaloo and switching to Sprint with any mobile, anytime. Now on the Sprint network, he can call any mobile phone on any network anytime he wants without worrying about the meter running. So he's decided to call every mobile phone in the country. He'll finish just after his 93rd birthday. Welcome to the Now Network. Get unlimited calling to every mobile phone nationwide when you switch to any mobile, anytime. Only from Sprint, the Now Network.
Okay, who had the opposite sex repellent meal? Me. More of me to love combo?
Yeah.
Where did my neck go platter? And the I'm not fat, I'm husky special.
What are you really getting with greasy fast food? Instead, try a Spice-alicious new low-fat buffalo chicken sub at Subway. Now part of a Subway Fresh Fit meal. It's a simple way to enjoy eating better.
Ooh, empty calories.
TV's #1 new show, NCIS Los Angeles, Tuesday, only CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Honda. Everybody knows somebody who loves a Honda. And by the newest $5 footlong. Try the spicy buffalo chicken footlong. Subway, eat fresh.
We're happy to tell you Kelly Washington popped up off of the ground and trotted off the field under his own power. Demetrius Williams replaces him. Flacco throwing far sideline incomplete. Let's go back to that play.
Well, yeah, let's go back to it. I'm sure maybe somebody thinks, well, gee whiz, isn't this a hit on a defenseless receiver? Well, I think Washington catches the ball and then turns upfield. At this point in time, he's a runner. He's a runner, and he's no longer a receiver, in my estimation, and that's just a good hard hit by Madieu Williams, and thankfully everyone appears to be okay.
And he did see Madieu Williams coming, too.
Yes, absolutely right. I think that's a point that needs to be made.
2nd and 10. Flacco under pressure and got rid of it.
Boy, Joe Flacco is still down.
Third and 10.
And Joe is really kind of walking a little gingerly now. Michael Lohr doing everything he can do to get out of his stance, but this isn't Jared Allen. Again, it's Kevin Williams. And poor Joe Flacco, their feet are actually tangled up. It's like his spikes, Williams' spikes are like caught in Flacco's shoelaces. Of course, this is after 330-pound Kevin Williams steps on him.
3rd and 10. Flacco over the middle inside the 40, and it is ruled a catch. Demetrius Williams made the catch at about the 38-yard line.
And Baltimore is trying to get up there in a hurry. We can see the ball moving. There comes a challenge flag.
Brad Childress threw that one about 20 yards.
Wow, and Baltimore was getting up there in a hurry to try to quick snap it. I saw him juggle the ball, but the question is, did the ball touch the turf?
Brad Childress may have thrown maybe the 4th or 5th best pass of the day.
All right, let's watch it one more time. Demetrius Williams. This was a heck of a delivery by Joe Flacco. Oh, did the ball touch the ground? He did not have complete control of the ball initially. Oh, that angle I don't think is going to give Mike Carey enough to make a decision. Let's take a look at it this angle. He doesn't field it cleanly, and the question is, as he curls up there,
did
the ball
ground?
Touch the ground? And that angle isn't going to give Mike Carey a definitive look.
Edge goes to the original call on the field in that case, which is called a completion.
A reception, that's right. Here's one more look at it. Now right there.
Is it skidding along the
ground?
Right
there you could make an argument, and I'm sure the argument is, if you're Baltimore, that he had complete control of the ball. If you're Minnesota, you're saying, no, he didn't have control of the ball. It skidded along the field. That's the look that Mike Carey, I think, is going to agonize over a little bit. And is that enough to overturn the call on the field?
And at 27-10 with 9 minutes and change remaining, this is not an insignificant play.
I don't know that he sees enough there to overturn the call. Mike Carey has to see beyond the shadow of a doubt that Williams does not field this cleanly. All right, let's tighten in. All right, he's got his hands under the ball there.
And did it bounce on the ground there?
And right there, I don't see how he overturns this. It wouldn't stun me if he overturned it, but if I'm Mike Carey, I think I have to let that stand.
Well, he's made his decision. Talk to us, Mike.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
I think that was exactly right, Dan. Not enough evidence to overturn the call.
And if that call on the field, Greg, would have been ruled an incompletion, I think that replay would have stayed an incompletion.
So that costs the Minnesota Vikings a timeout. Each team now has 2 timeouts remaining with 9:08 to play in the 4th.
But it's a good challenge by Brad Childress. It's close enough that you gotta make him go under the hood to look at that.
That moves the line of scrimmage now to the Minnesota 38-yard line. First down. Jared Allen looking for a little vocal support. Flacco out of the shotgun, going to throw it to Rice, and Rice Wrapped up after about a 5-yard gain or so, maybe 6.
Boy, another good open field tackle by Chad Greenway. He's had a couple of those today.
5-yard pickup, 2nd and 5. Flacco got rid of it. Down the sideline it is. Oh, what a catch made by Mark Clayton for the touchdown.
I'm telling you, Joe Flacco is getting pummeled in the Baltimore pocket. He's going down time after time, and somehow he's able to throw the ball effectively. That is he put that thing up there where he counts on his guy to make a play. Pema becomes a spectator, and Clayton makes the catch.
Boy, did this place get a little quiet, huh?
Well, you can't give Joe Flacco enough credit.
The extra point is good, and with 8:35 to play here in the 4th, once again a 10-point lead for Minnesota.
Joe Flacco's on the phone going, I'm getting killed back there. But take a look at this. This is just one-on-one. Flacco identifies just single coverage, and Carl Pema just has his back turned to the football. Johnson, the safety, is a non-factor, and there goes Joe one more time, gets caught in the vice. But he drops this right in there, and Carl Pema just is complete. You can't make a play with your back turned to the football. That is not the way to play corner.
Dan, I believe I've been saying that for forever.
Yeah, I mean, he saw the football. He wasn't surprised by it, but he was turned the wrong way.
So give the Ravens credit. They come bouncing right back, and it's 27-17. 8:35 to play. They go 75 yards in 7 plays.
And give some credit to Mark Clayton on that. He focused in on that football. And Joe Flacco, he trusted him. Pema was there. He trusted his guy to make a play, and sometimes that's what you've got to do.
And in a matter of moments, Mr. Favre and the offense will be on the field again.
Yeah, Brett's going no baseball cap yet. This game's a long way from being over.
Keep in mind, Percy Harvin has a 101-yard kickoff return this year. He's fast. Harvin on the move at 12. Just across the 25 to about the 26.5-yard line. Hey, program note. Tonight on The Amazing Race, teams race a car on a track or through the desert. And how hard is it to find the world's tallest building? A new Amazing Race tonight after 60 minutes on CBS, America's Most Watched Network.
Well, here's where running the football is a premium, but if you have to throw it, at least you have confidence in the guy that's going to put it in the air. But this should be Adrian Peterson time.
Coming back out. Coming back out.
He gets the handoff. Breaks it outside. Look out. Adrian Peterson off to the races. 40. 20. And knocked out of bounds at about the 16-yard line. Maybe the 15. Adrian Peterson time.
It takes 11 people to play defense against Adrian Peterson. If one guy gets out of position, this is what can happen. And that time, Dominique Foxworth got caught to the inside, and Ed Reed was not able to get over and reroute Adrian Peterson.
That's a 58-yard pickup when all is said and done. Adrian Peterson, 139 yards on the day.
How about the hustle by Tavares Gooden getting all the way over there to knock him out of bounds?
Here's Chester Taylor looking for running room on the near side. He's wrapped up at the 15-yard line by Dannell Ellerby.
I think I might understand, Greg, why Ray Lewis called Tavares Gooden that physical freak. He ran all the way across the field and ran down Adrian Peterson to knock him out of bounds. That's a linebacker we're talking about. Well, we've got that 100-yard game taken care of that he hasn't seen since opening week at
Cleveland.
Yeah, well, he's got another notch.
the middle, close to the 10, is Chester Taylor.
They went 39 games without anyone cracking 100. Cedric Benson did it last week. Now Adrian Peterson has done it this week. It's not that no one has run the ball on Baltimore during that period of time. It's just they haven't had a 100-yard rusher. Greg, you and I were there at the Meadowlands when the Giants ran for 207 as a team against Baltimore.
No individual 100-yard rusher that day, but they did just fine running the football. Peterson back in the lineup.
I guess no coincidence that Peterson and Benson are number 1 and number 2 rushers of the league.
On 3rd and 5, Favre to throw. And wrapped up at the 15-yard line is
he hurt?
Peterson.
Is he hurt?
He comes up limping.
Adrian Peterson got his leg twisted underneath him in that tackle. Oh, and that Adrian Peterson, watch right here. Ellerbe comes down low. Oh, and right there he catches his left ankle. His left ankle gets caught underneath. Right there. Now, when that happens, sometimes you look at the ankle bend and you're not sure. You assume it's the ankle. Sometimes the knee can get flexed at the same time. We'll wait for a report.
Longwell from 30 yards out drills it. 6:01 to play in the 4th. 30-17 Vikings.
Ellerbe makes a heck of a tackle on Peterson. Right there, watch the left foot get planted, and then Ellerbe's body rolls right over it, right at the hip. I didn't see the knee bend at all. It looked like it was just the ankle that moved, but that hurt.
Also explains why Adrian Peterson went down at the hands of one tackler.
Yeah, well,
so
that was an outstanding tackle. Of course, Peterson did not have a chance to turn upfield. He really didn't have a chance to make a move.
Remind you, this is a doubleheader day here on CBS. There is more football action still to come, including those Tennessee Titans at New England against Brady and the Patriots, and Buffalo at the Meadowlands against the New York Jets.
You could see Peterson a little bit earlier shaking his head, kind of frustrated. He's going, I'm okay. I'll tell you what happens with an ankle like that. It gets more sore as the day goes on.
I wonder if Adrian Peterson's day is done.
Well, you've heard the old saying, walk it off. That's what he's. Sometimes it does feel better to get up on walk on it than walk around. He's down there congratulating his line, saying thanks.
Lardarius Webb, as the Ravens look for some decent field position. Webb from the 8. Across the 25 to about the 27-yard line.
And somebody lost their helmet.
It has been a head knocker of a day.
Well, still, this is just a 2-score game for Baltimore. 2 touchdowns, almost 6 minutes. We have seen it many times before.
Flacco and company from their own 27.
Can they protect Joe Flacco? That's the big question right now.
Lost the football, scooped it up, and is dropped at the 24.
And the
Jared Allen.
And the answer on play number 1 is no. Now Flacco does get a chance to park himself back there for just a nanosecond. I think that's Kevin Williams that went by and knocked it out. And luckily Flacco was still free to recover.
2nd and 12. That pass is complete to Rice out of the backfield, and Rice breaking tackle. 30, 20, and out of bounds inside the 15-yard line. Tyrell Johnson saved the touchdown.
And Baltimore will not go away. What a job by Ray Rice of running through about 3 Minnesota tacklers.
That's a 62-yard pickup.
Brad Childress is living.
Flacco out here, complete to Mason. Mason diving for the end zone, touchdown. And Brad Childress is way out on the field yelling at Mike Carey.
Well, how's that for a touchdown drive by Baltimore in what, about 45 seconds or so? There's a bit of a defensive collapse. And with an extra point here, Baltimore is going to be a touchdown and an extra point from the win.
Hauschka's kick is good. 30-24 Minnesota.
Well, this, again, look at the good block downfield. That's the key. Demetrius Williams, he makes the block downfield, but where's the underneath coverage right here on Derek Mason? I'm sure Derek turns upfield and goes, man, I can't believe there's nobody here. Normally you catch a little out like that, you're expecting to have to evade someone within a yard or two of where you make the catch. Nobody from Minnesota was within 10 yards of him.
Now Flacco celebrates. Meanwhile, Mike Carey came over to the near sideline and had a brief conversation with Brad Childress.
Well, it wasn't Mike Carey that missed all those tackles in the Minnesota secondary.
Brett Favre waits his turn. Plenty of time.
It's uncomfortable to have what you think is a comfortable lead, and then all of a sudden find yourself in a position where not only is it getting tight, you might lose the game. A game that you have been in command of from the very beginning when you jumped out to a 14-0 lead.
You might say the Ravens and offensive coordinator Cam Cameron have figured some things out since the start of the game.
And remember, we don't know if Adrian Peterson is going to come back in the game or not. That is a big weapon to be without if that's the case.
Percy Harvin a yard deep in the end zone. And barely makes it back to the 15-yard line before he is snowed under. Peterson on the sideline. And we have Percy Harvin down on the field. Remember, he entered this game with a very sore left shoulder.
Oh, boy. Percy Harvin got this game started, and they are going right to that left shoulder again. And that was his injured shoulder. We heard it last week in the game against the Rams. Brad Childress really complimentary of Percy Harvin, saying, I'll tell you one thing about this kid, he's tough. He won't tap out. In other words, there's no way he'll ask to not play. And he started this game off the right way for Minnesota on the opening kickoff, giving them good field position.
Brett Favre says, you know, he's a stud now on the field, but he says, I've told him the light's going to go on for him after I'm gone.
This has not been a very good last minute and a half for the Minnesota Vikings. Adrian Peterson hurts his lower leg. Baltimore goes right down the field and scores a touchdown, and now Percy Harvin is hurt. All in the span of about 90 seconds.
So Harvin up, and that shoulder, that arm hanging a little bit.
Here is where Harvin got hurt. He makes the reception here, and watching, he falls right on that left shoulder. He continued to play the rest of the game, but then it got more sore as the day and the week went on. Limited what he could do this week, but I didn't think he showed any ill effects at all, Greg, during the game.
I agree. And then this is where he just got piled under by about 4 or 5 Baltimore Ravens.
And that shoulder gets driven right into the field with his arm pinned to his side where he can't break his fall.
And Chester Taylor is in the backfield, and you see Harvin there reaching for that shoulder. Taylor. Nothing doing. Kelly Gregg stopping up the middle. Here comes Peterson.
Man, is this some good news for Minnesota?
In about the last 5.5 minutes, we've seen the Vikings put 10 points on the board. The Ravens have put 14 on the board.
And you see it right there in the last 5-11. We had that burst early, then kind of slow in the middle, and now frantic at the end.
Peterson in the backfield, 2nd and 10. Flacco waits. Favre under pressure and goes down. What a hit from Ray Lewis.
Boy, and Ray Lewis, he comes on a dog where he loops around the defensive tackle that crashes. Watch Lewis right there in the middle. You see right there, he's going to come right off the rear end of his own player. Jared Johnson, and Brett Favre does not see him coming. And by the time he does, nothing he can do about it. Ray Lewis, well executed, well-designed blitz.
3rd sack of the day of Brett Favre. 3rd and 18. He needs the 24-yard line for a first down. Under pressure out of his own end zone. Intended for Chester Taylor. And he just barely got it away.
Well, Rex Ryan may not be calling the defensive plays anymore for Baltimore, but this part hasn't changed. Pressure, pressure, pressure. That time Trevor Price just beats the block. That's not some sophisticated blitz. He just beats the block. And on a one-on-one move, plants Favre.
Ed Reed to return the punt. On the run, dropped it, picked it up, and is out of bounds at about the 34-yard line. Excellent field position for the Baltimore Ravens. With 3:44 to play, the Ravens a touchdown and an extra point away from taking the lead.
They have 2 timeouts left. Both clubs have 2 timeouts remaining. And this, I think, is a stunned crowd in this stadium. This wasn't a question of whether we were going to win or not, these fans are thinking, but by how much? Wow, was that premature thinking?
Ravens with 2 touchdowns in their last 2 drives. On the run.
Unbelievable.
All the way to the end zone is Ray Rice.
I haven't seen a defensive collapse like this in quite a while. Get a tape measure to try to measure how close anyone from Minnesota came to Ray Rice on that touchdown run. Talk about not having to break a tackle.
Hauschka for the lead. And with 3:37 to play in regulation, Baltimore has come all the way back to grab a 1-point lead.
Talk about a well-executed running play. Take a look at this. Just a simple handoff. Chris Chester, the guard, comes around the corner. Terrell Johnson, the safety, that's his play. He's got to make a tackle on it, and he just kind of waves at Rice as he goes by. And after that, man alive. Here's Jared Allen. Todd Heap runs him upfield to the outside. He's out of the play. Again, that hole, that responsibility belongs to Terrell Johnson. And he just does a wave by at Ray Rice.
Dan, when you consider that at one point in the 4th quarter here, Minnesota held a 30-17 lead. This has been a defensive collapse by the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, it was a game where every time Baltimore crawled back in to get reasonably close, Minnesota always came back and made a play and stretched their lead out even further. But that came to an end. Ray Lewis on the sideline interacting with some fans.
Here's Jamar Johnson. Not going to run it out of his end zone. So Brett Favre. First down, Vikings, their own 20-yard line. We welcome those of you joining us here in Minneapolis. Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf. The Baltimore Ravens were down 30-17 here in the fourth quarter, have come all the way back to grab a 31-30 lead.
Well, these Viking fans saw Brett Favre do it against San Francisco. A late game comeback. Can he do it again?
Pass to the near sideline, Sidney Rice. Stopped by Frank Walker. 4-yard gain, it'll be 2nd and 6. Joe Flacco has had an extraordinary game, much to Brad Childress's dismay. And Ray Rice just scored the go-ahead touchdown on a 33-yard scamper. And has quieted a really vocal Minnesota crowd. Jared Allen watching from the sideline. 2nd and 6. Favre. Looking deep. Launches it. Penalty marker is thrown. The catch is made by Rice.
Well, that was going to be interference on Frank Walker anyway.
Had his hands full of purple jersey.
He sure did. He knew he was beat. He panicked. But look at Brett Favre. Bought time, extended the play with his feet, and then found where he had single coverage.
Pass interference. Defense.
Right there, Walker knows he's in trouble, and there's the grab. He just yanked the back of Sidney Rice's jersey. Look at this right there. Pulls him. He just actually pulls himself along for the ride with the back of that jersey. I don't know how Walker thought that wasn't going to be seen. Great job by Sidney Rice of catching it anyway.
It bears repeating. Brett Favre told us yesterday he likes his chances with Sidney Rice going one-on-one.
He loves the fact that Rice is 6'4" and can elevate.
Here's Adrian Peterson, and he is stacked up at about the 20-yard line. Tavares Gooden led the charge.
Joe Flacco's got to be over there going, who is that number 4 guy?
And there is a timeout on the field that stops the clock with 2:46 to play.
Well, I mentioned that this crowd, Minnesota fans everywhere, they've seen this act before. It was right here in this same building. Brett Favre to the back of the end zone. Check it out. Greg Lewis makes an extraordinary catch. Brett Favre got all the credit for that. I thought the catch by Lewis was something special.
How about the day Sidney Rice is enjoying? 6 catches for 176 yards. He has a 58-yarder, a 63-yarder. Second and 12. Peterson. To about the 17. Jarrett Johnson makes the stop. Clock continues to move as we come up on 2.5 to play. Minnesota with 2 timeouts remaining. Baltimore with 1. And Baltimore burns its 3rd and final timeout, I believe, with 2:30 to play.
I guess Baltimore deciding
they'd like a little room on the other side of any score that's upcoming.
Although they're going to get a stoppage at the 2-minute warning.
Two touchdown passes by Favre in the first quarter had the Vikings out to a 14-0 lead. A field goal at the end of the first half cut it to 14-3. Then a Longwell field goal, a Ray Rice touchdown, and then Longwell a field goal again, Shiancoe a touchdown, and it was 27-10. Mark Clayton caught a touchdown pass to cut it to 27-17. And then after a Longwell field goal, 2 touchdowns for the Ravens to grab a 31-30 lead.
How strange it must be for these Minnesota fans that they're looking at Ryan Longwell, a longtime Green Bay Packer, and Brett Favre, obviously a longtime Green Bay Packer, as the money guys here in the fourth quarter.
3rd and 9. Peterson stacked up at about the 14-yard line.
Well, the crowd's booing. I don't know what they're booing about. I don't know what else you expected the Brad Childress to do. You're not going to run the risk of stopping the clock with an incomplete pass and giving Baltimore any more time than they're going to have.
Well, that's going to bring us to the 2-minute warning. On the other side of this timeout, Minnesota looks for a go-ahead field goal.
My best friend from high school.
My roommate.
My sister. My dad, he lives down south.
I know someone who owns one.
My cousin.
My teammate, he's a linebacker.
Everybody knows somebody who loves a Honda. Who do you know?
For 2 decades, the U.S. government has been training a top-secret unit.
You will be a psychic weapon.
Code name, Project Jedi.
You're a Jedi warrior.
They are the men who stare at goats.
He's down.
Inspired by a true story.
We're Americans. We're here to help you. What happened? I think I just ran him over. Oh, crap.
The Men Who Stare at Goats. Rated R. November 6th.
With my Nuvie phone, I can take calls from my friends while I'm driving to them.
With my Nuvie phone, I can say I was there.
With my Nuvie phone, it's easy to stay in touch with friends.
My teammate, he's a linebacker. He owns one. My girlfriend.
Yeah, he's really good. He's a quarterback.
She works at the movie theater.
My main girl. My mom.
My karate instructor.
One of my students, his mom has one.
Everybody knows somebody who loves a Honda. Who do you know?
Ethan, I need Alex Woods in here right now.
He's brain dead, Eric.
We should know the reason. So I figured out what you're doing. You're leaving CSI, aren't you?
It's the season for goodbye.
Greg Gumbel down here in Minneapolis. 2 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter, and Ryan Longwell, who has connected from 40, 22, and 29 yards out, will try this one from 31 yards, and the kick is good. That one puts the Vikings back up by a score of 33-31.
Well, John Harbaugh's club now hopes for good field position after the kickoff return. Never a doubt about this. And then can they get down to about the 35, 37-yard line with no timeouts remaining?
Jared Allen cheers that on, and then he'll be on the field on defense in just a couple of moments. Baltimore, in its last 3 drives, has covered a lot of ground in very little time. The Favre family looking on.
That's Deanna Favre right there in the middle, looking on. How many times has she watched this before?
Old hat for her. Everybody's excited, and she goes, I've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I somehow suspect it's not just old news over there.
Joe Flacco looking for his shot. as the Ravens try to hand the Minnesota Vikings their first loss of the year. Lardarius Webb is deep. This is going to be bounced and picked up at the 15 by LaRon McClain. McClain back to the 30, out to about the 33-yard line. We told you that the Ravens have been covering a lot of ground.
Well, this is Mark Clayton getting a 32-yard touchdown reception as he goes up, makes a heck of a...
Has it. I circled because you get in 3rd down and long, 3rd and +5 with these St. Louis Rams. They bring the pressure. If you bring the pressure, what do you have to do? You have to...
Minnesota defense regroup because they have just fallen apart the last couple drives.
Flacco from his own 33. Far side of the field and overthrows his intended receiver, Mark Clayton. 2nd and 10. Steve Hauschka, a career long of 54.
So we are in perfect kicking conditions inside the dome here. So if need be, I would assume they would try it all the way up to 60 or so if they had to.
Joe Flacco trying to add to a career high 347 yards passing on the day.
I'll guarantee you that Hauschka has made 60-yarders in practice before.
Flacco running out of time, got rid of it. This is Rice. Rice out of bounds across the 45-yard line. That's a first down.
Joe Flacco continues to impress. Keep in mind, this guy, but he earns the Joe Cool nickname. He is unflappable back in the pocket. Stays with it, and this Minnesota pass rush, and yet he is still there.
Rice 9 catches for 114 yards receiving. Flacco over the middle and a diving grab by Kelly Washington to the 41.
And Washington gets up limping a little bit, but again, look at that throw from Joe Flacco.
Flacco, short one to Rice. Rice inside the 40 to the 38. Coming up on 1:05 as Hauschka gets loose on the sidelines.
Well, we're about at a 57-yard field goal right about now.
Flacco stepping up, throwing, and overthrew on the near sideline, Derek Mason.
And Mason just imploring the side judge for a throw on a flag, really arguing that he was either held or interfered with. It's going to have to be pretty bad to draw a flag in this condition at this stage of the game.
3rd and 7, 48 seconds to play.
This is where all those sprints, all those gassers, all those conditioning drills, you hope they pay off here.
Here they come. Flacco throws. That is complete inside the 30-yard line to Derek Mason. 40 seconds to play. First down, Baltimore.
If you're a football fan and you're not impressed with Joe Flacco, you're not paying attention.
And he's going to throw it. Incomplete, out of bounds, stops the clock, 26 seconds.
Well, they tried a little trickery right there. Cam Cameron, the offensive coordinator with Flacco, because they were going to just play it that Minnesota assumed they were going to spike the football.
There's Cam Cameron, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Minnesota that time, and Carl Payman in particular, really honored their assignments and stayed with it. They didn't get caught.
On 2nd and 10, you put it on the ground to Ray Rice. And Rice to about the 26. 19 seconds and counting.
Going to be about, what do you figure, 45, 46-yard field goal if they did it from here.
And Flacco going to let the clock run down and spike it here, I would assume. And he does, with 2 seconds to play. And here comes Steve Hauschka in his second season out of North Carolina State. A 54-yarder last year for his career high. 44-yarder for his season high this year.
Whether he makes this or not, one thing's for sure. Joe Flacco is going to be able to say, on the day that he went head-to-head with Brett Favre, I stood my ground.
From 44 yards. And we get a whistle. Minnesota has 2 timeouts to burn, and they're going to use one here.
Timeout. Minnesota, their second.
Guess what? More football to come once we wind down here.
Darn right there is.
Tennessee at New England. Buffalo, the New York Jets. Tennessee trying to win its first of the year. Jets trying to rebound from a Monday night loss at Miami.
Well, right now, this is what you love about the game of football. When you get a game that comes down to the last play of the game. The tension, the drama, it's good stuff.
Hauschka hoping to silence the crowd and hand the Vikings their first loss of the year. He missed it. Two close friends, Brad Childress, John Harbaugh, former assistants at Philadelphia, going head-to-head. Minnesota survives to go 6-0 on the year, their first 6-0 start since the 03 season. Hauschka just pulled it.
Yep, he hooked it from the very beginning. It never was between the uprights. And a tremendous fourth quarter effort by the Baltimore Ravens ends up being in a losing effort because of that missed field goal.
On the sideline, Brett Favre wasn't even looking.
He goes, did he miss it? And Tarvaris Jackson gives him the news.
175 wins for Brett Favre as a starter, the most in NFL history. Joe Flacco on the short end. Our final score, 33-31 Minnesota. Up next, the Titans and the Patriots, or the Bills and the Jets. For Dan Deerdorf, for the rest of our CBS Sports crew, Greg Gumbel saying so long from Minneapolis. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 44.